What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're throwing it to the Arc 3.0 Warlock, bringing back our Kamehameha in Chaos Reach, pairing that with our exotic boots, Geomag Stabilizers, that give us that extended chaos reach time when we do that continuous damage. Even though they got nerfed, very good for that sustained DPS with Arc 3.0. As always here, starting out with our abilities, aspects, and fragments. Like I said, we're running Chaos Reach to pair with our Geomag Stabilizer boots. Now for me, I'm going with our Healing Rift and Strafe Glide, mixing that with our Chain Lightning Arc melee, so it jolts targets and chains enemies with that lightning. Very good for that jolting, which will come into play later. And then on top of that, again, using pulse grenades for that sustained ad clear and DPS. Think it's the best for, again, that sustained just AoE effect on everything besides Titans. Definitely storm grenades is the way to go. Now for me, aspects on this, always going Arc Soul. When we cast our Rift, we get that little arc buddy, and when we are amplified, it shoots faster, and it's key because these count as arc ability kills, which will in turn give us ionic traces based on our second aspect over here, Electrostatic Mine. Defeating enemies with arc abilities or jolted or blinded targets create ionic traces, which is why this melee creating that jolt is very key with giving us more and more ionic traces. Now for our fragments here, we have Spark of Magnitude, so your lingering arc grenades like our pulse grenade, they just have extended duration, which again just helps us with that nice ability to add clear and create more ionic traces for ourselves. Next we have Spark of Amplitude, so again creating more orbs of power when we are amplified and we rapidly defeat targets. So this is just going to help us create orbs of power pretty consistently, because with Arc we become amplified almost consistently. Next off, we have Arc of Feedback for that resistance and melee damage increase when we take melee damage, just helping us with our Chain Lightning and that jolting ability of our melee. And finally, Spark of Volts, so finishers also make us amplified, which come into play because I love having that amplified Arc Soul, shooting faster, and inside of that endgame activity, when you pair this, making yourself able to create finishers with ammo and amplification, it is very nice. Now for our weapons that we're going into, first off, we're going with the Syncopation 53. Now for our perks on this bad boy, I'm going to keep Headstone on this. Just need to get my crafting abilities up a little bit higher so I can actually craft the enhanced perks on this weapon. Now for our secondary, we're going with the Delicate Tomb Fusion Rifle, which will help us create ionic traces, and this weapon also jolts targets after it gets a defeat. The next one it hits causes that jolt, so very good at ad clear and that little bit higher DPS with that jolting. Now for our heavy, I'm throwing on Plank's Stride. Just was able to craft this, but like it for a machine gun and the ability to have overload on this, as well as those enhanced perks once I level it up. Getting that volt shot on this bad boy, very good at, again, jolting targets, creating that little higher DPS as well. Now moving on to our armor mods over here. First off, we have Fusion Finder for that Delicate Tomb, as well as Harmonic Siphon when we get defeats with both our Fusion Rifle as well as our LMG. We're going to have those orbs of power being created, as well as Elemental Ordnance, so combatant final blows with arc damage. Since we're using an arc super, create those arc elemental wells. Very key at getting our abilities back faster again. Next off, on our arms, we're going with Overload Machine Gun, as well as Unstoppable Pulse for that end game activity, as well as Font of Might. So when we pick up those Arc Elemental Wells, both our Delicate Tomb and our Plank's Stride will have extra damage because they are both Arc Burns after picking up an Arc Elemental Well. Now on our chest piece here, we have our Solar and Arc Damage Resistance to help us stay alive in that end game activity, as well as some extra reserves inside of our Fusion fusion rifle with elemental ordnance on, so when we get defeats with that pulse grenade, we're also creating arc elemental wells, which will help us proc Phantom Might here. Now, with our Geomag Stabilizer exotic boots here, even after the nerf, they are very fun to run with our Chaos Reach Super. So damaging targets with Chaos Reach extend its duration, so very good with sustained boss DPS. Now for mods, we're throwing on Fountain of Wisdom to crank up our intellect up to 100 when we pick up those Arc Elemental Wells that we are creating via our Arc Weapon defeats as well as our Grenade defeats. We're also using this Invigoration, so when we pick up Orbs of Power, we reduce our melee cooldown, which we're using to create that jolt on targets because of the Chain Lightning aspect and ability that we have. We're using Machine Gun Scav just to help us get that ammo for our Plank's Stride. Last but not least, again, for our class item, we're using Thunderous Retort and Amped Up from our seasonal artifact. Thunderous Retort, when we are amplified or critically wounded, our Arc Super does additional damage. So because of this build, we're going to become amplified super easy just in general with Arc and how we have it set up here inside of this build. Plus we have Amped Up to stay amplified longer, which just helps us to keep up those enhanced Arc Souls, creating more Arc Ionic traces for us, as well as getting us to proc Thunderous Retort, which will allow us to have that sustained DPS and 100 intellect with Font of Wisdom. So it's a very synergetic Arc 3.0 build for our Warlock here, taking it into endgame like the master version of the Catch Crash here. Very easy to get through it, stun those champions, creating a bunch of Ionic traces for us with this weapon, creating that jolting of targets with our melee as well as our fusion rifle, and then in turn giving Arc Souls to everybody on our fire team as well as ourselves, having them be that super fast shooting version of the Arc Souls, which will in turn just give us more Ionic traces. It's just a perpetual motion of creating Ionic traces, Arc Elemental Wells, and Orbs of Power, which just allow us to absolutely spam our abilities and get our super back very fast, allowing us to wipe out bosses, champions in this high end game activity with that sustained DPS with Chaos Reach and Geomags. Definitely a higher DPS than Stormcaller would be. Stormcaller definitely falls more on the ad clear end, even though you can build it out for a little bit higher damage with some of our exotics that we have for Warlock. But with Geomag Stabilizers and our Kamehameha, one of the best animations, and it is by far my favorite for Warlock super wise to just have fun with. I love how this build works in the end game activities. Can't wait for GMs to come out, try to run it through some of those, but in raids this absolutely melts if you're going through some of those triumphs where you got to complete encounters on all Arc abilities or all Arc subclasses. This build right here is a very good thing to take into those raids. So thank you guys so much for the support and everything lately. Hopefully y'all enjoy these builds. Got a lot more coming out here with some weapon reviews from this season, including the legendary LMG Plank Stride, which we are showing off in this build as well. So thank you guys so much again. Truly appreciate it. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.